What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Mile High Hockey on this Tuesday, this warm Tuesday in the Mile High City. He's Drew Spivak. I'm Will Peterson with you as always. Drew, we've only got one Avs game to react to since we spoke to the folks on Friday. We will get in to what happened against the Nashville Predators, another Avalanche win. Get into Seattle tonight. They'll be up there taking on the Kraken, late puck drop. But let's begin with the news that rocked the hockey world on Friday and had big implications in the Central Division. And that, of course, is the Minnesota Wild landing star defenseman Quinn Hughes with a big package back to the Vancouver Canucks. Another Friday night blockbuster goes down in the league. Of course, we all remember what happened 11 months ago when Mikko Rantanen was traded from the Avalanche on a Friday night. Now it's Quinn Hughes going from a bad Vancouver team to a good Minnesota Wild team. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of what this means for the Central, the Avs, the Stars, the Wild, all battling. But, Drew, I'm just curious to your reactions to a trade that does have impacts, in my eyes, on the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, my first reaction was, whoa. Because it had been rumored that the Quinn Hughes was going to go for a little while now, but it seemed like it was going to be something that was going to happen more January, February, maybe even into March. And the fact that it wasn't New Jersey, because I think everybody thought it was going to be New Jersey. He was going to go play with his brothers,
right?
Luke and Jack, and go out there. But the fact that it was the Minnesota Wild to pull the trigger on this thing and make it happen, listen, good for Quinn Hughes for getting out of the mess that's Vancouver. Okay, bad news for the Central Division, because now you put him in a situation in Minnesota where he's on a really, I don't want to say loaded back end, but he makes that Minnesota defense all more better. And I think if I'm looking at this from an Avalanche perspective, I look at this and say, all right, well, it is because we all talk, like, there's always been this comparison, like Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar. Vancouver fans like to kind of say, oh, Quinn Hughes is better than Cale Makar. He's not. Quinn Hughes is Cale Makar light.
I like that.
He's really good, but he's not as good as the original. He's not quite to that level. But this actually puts Minnesota in a really good position kind of moving forward. Now we'll see, like, they still got some holes on that team. On the wings, they're really good. But, dude, they had some Dmitry or Daniil Yurov playing first-line center. Like, he's
not exactly a household name in the NHL.
No, and Joel Eriksson-Ek is a good player. He's a second-line center who's kind of having to play first line every once in a while. So I do expect Minnesota to be more aggressive, but I look at it this way. Minnesota's probably not done, but this just makes the Central Division all the more tougher, or I guess tougher than we thought it was initially, tougher than I think we've all known it is, or it just makes it harder. Like, because if you're the Avalanche, you have to make sure that you get that number one slot now. You don't want to face Dallas or Minnesota in that first round, because those two teams are going to be incredibly tough outs. We just saw with Minnesota a couple weeks ago when they played up there, how tough Minnesota played Colorado. That was probably the toughest any team has played them in the NHL this year. And it took the Avs, late Gabe Landeskog goal to get that thing to overtime. So really good for the Central Division. I guess if you're a fan of watching just really good hockey, but we'll see how this plays out for both teams.
Yeah, good for the Central Division, I guess, but not good for the Avalanche in my eyes, because I think you hit the nail on the head. They've got to be the number one seed. And that's a crazy conversation to be having 9 days before Christmas. There is still so much hockey left in this regular season, but because stubborn Gary Bettman, the commissioner of the NHL, refuses to change his format, either Minnesota, Dallas, or Colorado is guaranteed Charles Barkley voice to go home in round one. And that doesn't seem just in the Western Conference, when you can make a real case that they're the three strongest teams. Throw out the Pacific Division. These two teams, two of them should be playing in the semis, and then one of them should be waiting for the winner in the Western Conference final. But everything gets moved up around because of Bettman's dumb format. And we can sit here and pout about the format. We have pouted about the format. I raise my hand. I pout about the format all the time. But luckily, the Avalanche are the ones who control their own destiny, and they are in first place. And Dallas did drop a couple games recently, got back in the W column last night. But the Avs with their 53 points are in the driver's seat. That said, it has to be all gas, no brakes, because like you said, you need the Wild and Stars to take each other out in the first round. And in a perfect world, Drew, I'll just say it. The series goes 7 and Minnesota wins the series. Take care of big bad Dallas, but make it go long, hard, hopefully a couple double overtime games mixed in there. And the Avs get a wild card team and win in 4 or 5, and then can put their skates up while those two teams beat them up. Again, and I'm sure the viewers feel the same way, am stunned we are having these conversations in December, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out this is the reality of the NHL this year.
But this is what it was last year too. Like, this isn't a new thing, because last year it was Winnipeg, Dallas, and Minnesota. They were kind of the top three. Colorado kind of came from behind and snuck up in there into that 2-3 slot. But I think one thing that I really like about the way that both Minnesota and Dallas are playing right now, and it's going to put pressure on Colorado to just continue playing well. Like, there's not going to be a take your foot off the gas once we get into March and April, kind of like how they did last year, where they start resting guys the last 3, 4, 5 games of the season. Every point is going to matter in this regular season, because it's all going to come down to seeding. And I don't know. I know you're one of those that would like to see Dallas or Minnesota later on if you can. I actually would almost rather just get it out of the way, because it's like, okay, you're going to have to go through eventually anyway. Why not go through the gauntlet at that point in time? And if you go into the end of the regular season and you haven't rested all your guys and you're going in full throttle into the playoffs, I like their chances a heck of a lot better if they take that they don't take their foot off the gas and kind of get it going and just go into full steam ahead into the postseason. But this is gonna be a heck of a race, and like we're not even talking about Winnipeg, because they've kind of fallen off so much without Connor Hellebuck.
Right.
Connor Hellebuck's healthy now. He came back over the weekend. I would expect to see Winnipeg start creeping up in this race as well. I mean, you look at the standings, dude. Minnesota's sitting in third place in the Central Division with, I think it's 43 points. No other team has a first place team that has that many points.
Yeah, they're the third best team in the NHL.
It's crazy.
And they're the third best team in the Central Division.
It's wild, but
yeah,
it makes it all the more fun. And you could have, games where the Avalanche don't play all that well like they did the other night. And you say, well, they figure out ways to win. But this race is going to be fun. And it's fun now that we're at a point in the schedule for the Avalanche where they're starting to play Western Conference teams, and they're starting to even create a little bit more separation as opposed to what they've already done, in the previous couple months.
Yeah, no, it bears watching for sure. The Central got stronger, even if Minnesota did give up a big package. Vancouver could rebuild and be a threat in a couple of years, but they're not going to be a threat this season. The Wild certainly look like that, but we'll see. I think it's important the Avs play a wild card team. Minnesota and Dallas play each other, and then you see who emerges from that series in round 2. All right, you mentioned Saturday against Nashville. Let's hit on that briefly here. Kind of a slog of a game. The Avs were actually getting outshot late into the second period in that one. They turned things around, but it's pretty rare a team comes into Ball Arena and outshoots the Avs. Luckily, didn't really matter on the scoreboard. Avs win 4-2. Probably the most noteworthy thing of the game was Valerian Nichushkin took a nasty high stick to the face. The ref said the player was going for the puck and therefore didn't call any sort of penalty, which I know Nichushkin was very frustrated about. He did get an empty netter late. You could tell that meant a lot to him, just kind of some revenge. But you know what? These are the kind of games, Drew, that when you're a really good team, 4-2 win Saturday night, people had a good time. Not too much to dissect, and that's a luxury that Avalanche fans have.
Yeah, you look at the scoreboard, you say, 4-2, the Avalanche must have gone out and dominated the hockey game. Not so much. They really didn't play all that well, honestly. It was probably a C- game from them, and yet they still just win a game fairly easily. I mean, I think they had 41 shots on goal the other night. Not bad when you consider that you're still kind of playing just like a C game. But one of the things that's really standing out to me with this team lately is the fact that the defensemen are getting so involved in this. Like, you're getting points from all these defensemen. Like, that's always been the case. But it feels like it's even more exaggerated this year that the defensemen are getting even more involved. And that's not even including Devon Taves, who hasn't really put that many points on the score sheet. Kale's being Kale. Brent Burns has been fantastic. Josh Manson does what he does. But Sam Malinsky, Sam Girard getting really involved offensively has been a really big bright spot to see as well. It's just I go into each game now and I'm almost looking for something to like nitpick at, because that's where we're at with this team. Like, there's no flaws, there's no holes. And it was really cool for me as well to see Gavin Brindley go up on the top line the other night and not look out of place, because you're thinking, okay, now he's facing different competition. He's not facing bottom 6 guys anymore. He goes up and plays some Natchez, who's dealing with some sickness and stuff like that, and he looks great. He handles his own. He looks fine on that. So just not much to nitpick at it. Again, it's just the power play. They got to get this thing figured out. It's starting to look better, but they're not seeing the results on the score sheet. You got to get more goals out of this, and if you do, then this team's going to start winning games almost every game 6-1, 6-2, 6-3, something in that range.
Yeah, if the power play gets going, there will be less and less to nitpick. And I'm with you. It's actually starting to pass the eye test to me,
Yeah.
which is more important than the results for this time of year. Obviously, March, April, May, June, the results are the most important thing, but it was so hard to watch. I mean, it was the point the first month and a half of the season. It was like they are literally better 5-on-5 than they are 5-on-4. And it's starting to look like, okay, they're setting up in the zone. They're moving the puck. They're getting pucks on net. You can see the vision finally coming in to fruition. And obviously with a major coaching change there, it was always going to take some time. So, bad. All right, now passing the eye test. Now let's start getting the results over the next couple months. All right, Avs and Kraken tonight in Seattle. Obviously Seattle is going to trigger some Avs fans. It triggers me, I'm not going to lie, just because of what happened in the playoffs when the Avalanche were trying to defend their cup. We don't have to get into what happened with Nichushkin. That is old news in my eyes at this point, but there is something I want to bring up. Are those Kraken fans? And I think Seattle's a good sports town. I do. I think the Seahawks fans are very good. I do think they got a raw deal with their basketball team, but I think they're new hockey fans. That's how I interpret them. And I interpret them that way because they still boo Cale Makar every time he touches the puck in what my eyes was not a dirty hit at all in the postseason. Cale did not know where the puck was. The whistle did not blow, and he laid a big hit. It ultimately got him suspended, which I thought was ridiculous. But Drew, I think every time the Avs go to Seattle, that's what I'm going to be watching. Are these sort of newer hockey fans going to boo one of the nicest guys in the league who I don't think has a dirty bone in his body, and Cale Makar?
That's kind of the weird part is you talk about the person they're booing. It is Cale Makar. We just talked about him the other day, how he's just like a big nerd.
Yeah.
That's just like this quiet.
I think Gabe called him a science nerd. Yeah, exactly.
And you're right. There was nothing dirty about the hit, but I actually kind of like the fact that they boo him. It kind of gives a little bit more spice to a game that, quite frankly, doesn't really have a lot of spice to it. There's no history there. The Kraken are a very new hockey team. Yeah, they played once in the playoffs. It was all weird, the whole series went down with the Val thing, and then Avs not being able to score at all. It was just the whole thing was weird. So it kind of gives a little bit of spice to me to a team in a series I'm not even going to call it a rivalry, but I'm just going to say rivalry because there's not a lot there. The Avs have gone up to Seattle. They've kind of owned the Kraken for the most part, other than that playoff series. So I actually look at it as like a good, fun thing for them to boo him. And you know what? If you're Cale Makar, you probably embrace it. You probably love it. You're probably like, you know what? I'm not a bad guy. I'm just going to go out and, register a 2-3-point night and then move on to the next game. It's not that big of a deal to him. I never look at it as a big deal. I think it's just more fun than anything.
Yeah, it's a little fun, but it's Cale of all people.
I know.
That's what bothers me is, he doesn't. I get why Red Wings fans booed Claude Lemieux back in the day. It's just like, really, that's the guy you're going to boo of all guys. So
you got to cling to something.
You got to cling to something. We'll see if it happens again. And I mean, honestly, at this point, it's like, get over it, guys. It's been 3 years, but every time he's gone in that building, he's gotten booed. So yeah, I'll be watching on TNT tonight. I'm sure a lot of Avalanche fans will as well, but it is kind of one of those things. Every time you see Seattle on the schedule, it's like, when are these people going to get over this? But I guess that's the biggest highlight of the game and what should be another relatively easy Avs win.
Yeah, the Kraken got off to a nice start this year, and it's kind of fallen apart lately. Their biggest problem, dude, they can't put the puck in the net. I mean, they've got, I think, 2 guys that have more than 10 goals on the season.
Yeah, you look at their roster, there's just not a lot of star power on that team at all.
I mean, Jordan Eberle is their leading scorer.
Yeah, and he's a fine. Jordan Eberle would be what, the 10th best player on the Avs? if that,
Yeah, they just can't put the puck in the net. We'll see who's in goal for them tonight. Hopefully it's Philip Grubauer. Kind of makes it a little bit more fun with the history with the Avs and Grubauer. But the thing that stands out to me is the late puck drop again, man. Here we go. It's like 8:22, another late puck drop. But this could be maybe in kind of a sleepy type game, and then you get Winnipeg on Friday night, which is going to be a really fun game with Connor Hellebuck coming in. But I would look for the Avs to probably come out tonight, win this game 4-1, 4-2, somewhere in that range, and then we move on to Friday night.
All right, sounds good. And we will be back on Friday to discuss that, look at what happened in the Kraken game, and just see if there's any more big trades coming. I love the NHL because they don't wait till the deadline. No. They just do it. They do it. So you never know. Always got to be on watch on that. Hey, make sure you're subscribing. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave a like, comment, share, all that good stuff. And we'll see you in 72 hours on Mile High Hockey.